In today's video, we're going to be going over some holy grail men's fragrances that I think every guy should try at least once. Some of these might go away at some point in the future. Others of these might be here to stay for a long time, but that's kind of beside the point. The main idea here is these are all amazing, and we'll go through each one and I'll tell you why I think it's so good. And chances are you're also going to be hearing about these a lot as well. And so you kind of want to have an understanding of what they smell like so you feel in the loop. You know, when you see something talked about often and you don't know what it smells like because you haven't tried it, you know, that can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. So these are really worth getting your nose on and checking out at one point or another. And I tried to kind of sway away from some of the extremely obvious ones here, which we'll kind of see as we go through the video. Some of these you might not originally think of. Now, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off with a YSL La Nuit de l'Homme flanker. This one is La Nuit de l'Homme. This is the Eau de Parfum, okay? So what the difference is going to be mainly between this and the original La Nuit de l'Homme is this one is a little bit more smooth, a little bit more creamy. So this has cardamom, right, which you would kind of expect, but it has leather, tonka bean, and sandalwood. Now, the cardamom in this one is not as much of a key player as it is in the original Eau de Toilette. That original is basically all about that cardamom and the lavender, and that's essentially it in a nutshell. Very warm, spicy, very rich and mysterious, seductive smelling, great scent. This one, it's utilizing that tonka bean more so. It's utilizing more of that sandalwood. It has, again, just more of a creamy feel. It's less like overly spicy, less strong in that type of way. It kind of is not focusing on that particular type of cardamom richness as much. So that's kind of where the difference is. You know, for some people, this might be what they want. Maybe that original is too focused on cardamom with not enough additional support coming from other notes to where maybe it doesn't work well for you, and that's where this one would come in. You know, it's not as simple as just, oh, a stronger version of YSL La Nuit de l'Homme, right? There's a big difference in scent here, so that's something we have to clarify, and maybe that's something that's disappointed people over the years with this and the Le Parfum. But it is still a really, really fantastic smelling scent. Officially, I think this one's discontinued. I don't think they're making this anymore. Most of the YSL La Nuit de l'Homme flankers have been discontinued. Even a lot of the L'Homme flankers have been discontinued as well. However, this one is available right now. You can get it for, I don't know, 115 bucks or something, which, you know, for something that they're not making anymore, it's a really solid price. Definitely worth picking up if you, one, just kind of want that smoother take on La Nuit de l'Homme, and two, you're a collector of the line, you're a fan of the brand and the line, and you want to own that, you know, that scent here because it is cool to be able to have that kind of complete collection. But beyond that, it is one that you can get a lot of use out of. It's one that you have heard about and I think is definitely worth trying out. This next one is going to be by far the most popular scent in this video. It's without a doubt. So this one, yeah, might be a little bit more of an obvious selection here, but it is Hugo Boss Bottled Absolute. As I was putting this video together, I kind of felt like I had to put it in here. I knew that if I didn't, I wouldn't be fully happy with the video. So, you know, yes, it's one of the most popular designer fragrances right now. You're hearing about it all over the place, but there is a good reason for it. It's got incense, patchouli, myrrh, some leather in here as well. It's smooth, it's smoky, it's resinous, it's sweet. Another one that I'll describe as smelling kind of mysterious. You know, it's something just warm and dark and inviting. It's different, especially compared to what we're used to seeing in terms of new modern day fragrance releases. Yes, this is a sweet scent, and we are getting a lot of sweet fragrance releases these days. However, the bulk majority of sweet fragrance releases we're seeing are like more so bubblegummy sweet. They're more like chestnut, you know, Armani Stronger With You type of sweet, you know, just a little bit more playful, a little bit more juvenile smelling, that sort of thing. This is completely opposite. This is going in the direction of, you know, wanting to smell classy and high-end and sophisticated. This is easily one of the best releases from Hugo Boss in years. It might be one of their best releases of all time, at least when we're talking just their standard, you know, designer fragrance lineup. This and Elixir are up there as just true works of art. And for me, you know, the Absolute is my favorite. I still really love Elixir. It's just, if I had to choose one, this would be it. But they're both really worth trying, but definitely recommend getting it in one way or another, whether it's trying it in store, buying a sample, trying it, you know, however you can, or buying a full bottle. You know, it's something that is not going to go away anytime soon. You're going to hear about it continuously. And so, you know, you might want to try it so you have an understanding of what everybody's going on about. This next one from Dior is Eau Sauvage Parfum. So you don't hear about these, right? And we've had a few flankers over the years. Of course, it starts off with the original Eau Sauvage, but then we get into Eau Sauvage Cologne, Eau Sauvage Extreme. Now those two they're hard to get. I'm sure that they're probably discontinued, or at least they're just not readily available here in the United States market. One of the two, but you know, you can't really get those as easily. This one here, just the regular Parfum, you can get, you know, most places here. It's got Elemi, Citron, Bergamot, and Vetiver. It's more of that old style aromatic fougere type of scent, you know, kind of classy, refined, elegant. It's, you know, it's something that definitely goes against the grain, but keep in mind this is not a new release. It's been around for, I mean, this DNA's been around for quite a while. This Parfum flanker, I think, was released maybe 2012-ish or something, just throwing a number out there. But, you know, this is something that is going to really help you to stand out. And not everybody wants to in this type of way. I get that. Some might say that this smells a little bit old, you know, it smells like their grandpa, you know, whatever it is. I've heard it all. But, you know, some people want this type of thing. And if you do, it's worth looking into. And it's a little bit pricey, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's still way cheaper than Dior Sauvage Elixir, especially when we're talking price per milliliter here. You know, a lot of things are still more affordable than that one. So that's just kind of the perspective that we have to look at these days. You know, this one more expensive than average, but not compared to the Elixir fragrances. And for what you get in return, I mean, it is a great pickup. You know, if you want that old style, classy gentleman scent, you get a Parfum, so you're getting amazing performance here. Just a gentleman's classic. It's as simple as that. Really, really nice stuff that takes a specific person to like, but if you are that person, it is well worth it. And this next one follows a similar trend, although not nearly as much. I think more people could probably get along with this one better than something like Eau Sauvage Parfum, but it is Pasha de Cartier Parfum. So this has liquor, sandalwood, and balsam fir. You know, I've been a fan of this one for quite a while, and it's quite a bit different than the original Pasha de Cartier. Just the original one is kind of actually an aromatic fougere type of scent. It's much more fresh. This Parfum really amps things up. It's rich, it's sweet, it's boozy, it's seductive, has a nice sandalwood accord in here as well, so just a nice smooth, creamy, woody note to go along with everything else that we're kind of picking up on here. So just smells really, really, really good. Just nice and boozy, creamy, sweet. And the main thing about this one is it smells premium. It smells very expensive, very high end. And I don't think I've smelled a single Cartier scent that doesn't smell high end. And you know, these are not outrageously priced on discounters either. I think for this one, about $97. And you know, like Cartier Declaration, you know, EDP and the Parfum and stuff, going to be somewhere in that same price range, I think, maybe even $100 or so. But these smell way more expensive than that to me, you know, especially when you compare and look at a lot of other much more expensive designer scents that don't have this level of class. It's pretty crazy. So again, if you want to stand out, you want to have something that just smells premium, nearly niche in terms of just its blend and uniqueness and quality, but without spending nearly that much, highly recommend Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Okay, this next one is technically niche, but you guys know the drill. It's not niche price here. It's L'Homme Extreme by Guerlain. This one has almond, plum, tobacco, and some leather. So it's always been so interesting. You get that plum tobacco mixture. So it's kind of sweet, fruity off the opening, and just a little bit bright too from the plum, which is kind of interesting. But then you get this nice red, smoky pipe tobacco, and then that creamy, smooth, kind of powdery almond accord as well, with a little bit of leather in here. Just, I mean, if you haven't tried this, you simply have to. This is a blend unlike anything else. And I would say at this point, when we're talking, you know, my favorites, it would probably be this and the Parfum. You know, the EDP is right behind him in the number 3 spot, but my top two would easily be this and that Parfum version for sure. The Parfum has kind of an amaretto, more boozy accord with quite a bit of a focus on leather too. But this one, you know, again, a little bit brighter. That fruitiness probably gives it just a little bit more of a mass appealing smell, which, you know, some people are really going to like. And I think we're typically going to be looking at around, I don't know, like $85, maybe $90 for this, which again, especially for what you're getting in return, is a remarkable price. It smells so much more expensive than that, and it technically is. I mean, it retails for much more. A lot of these do, right? The retail price is always going to be higher than the discounter price, of course, but it's the fact that you can purchase this one for 90 bucks, you know, it's just crazy, even though they charge more for it retail wise. You know, this one definitely worth checking out if you want something unique. And I know most people have smelled it, but I know for a fact there are people who haven't yet. There are people who've heard about this one and they've been putting it off. I would say try it sooner rather than later, because you might be surprised on just how much you like it, and you'll feel as though you should have bought it way sooner. All right, now let's go for this next one, which is pretty unique in my opinion. And it's from a brand that only has like a couple of fragrances. Not really 100% sure much about the brand, but it's Robert Graham Fortitude. So it's got tonka, patchouli, and tobacco. Kind of has this slight boozy kick as well, but they don't really list off or say anything about that as far as I'm aware of. But it does have a little bit of that powdery, sweet, nice smoky tobacco accord. The patchouli gives it this nice, strong, masculine, woody note. Looking at the official website, or at least from what I saw in the picture, they've updated the presentation, so it doesn't look like this anymore. I prefer the look of this, but they changed it. However, on FragranceNet, you could still get this type of bottle. So there was a little bit of an update there at one point in time, but like I said, this one here you could still get for the time being. If you want this old style bottle, I've got it linked down below. You might want to do that before they switch over to the new one. But it's a unique tobacco scent for what it's worth. It doesn't really smell like, you know, when I think of tobacco, I mean, you immediately think of things like Dolce & Gabbana The One, Victor & Rolf Spice Bomb Extreme, just a couple designer fragrances that are very popular tobacco scents, right? And so you think, is it going to be similar to those in any sort of way? But with this one, not at all the case. I mean, could not be further from those, which is nice because it's like 60 bucks. It's really, really affordable. And you're getting a unique tobacco scent out of that transaction, which I think is pretty great. So, you know, this one, it's been talked about here and there, but if you've been putting it off and you want a unique tobacco, check it out. Okay, we're gonna finish this one off with a super expensive scent here. If you have deep pockets and you just wanna splurge on something big, this might be one to look into. It's Amouage Reflection Man 45 Extrait. Got lavender, iris, neroli, olibanum, and cedarwood with a ton of other notes. I mean, giant note breakdown on this one, but the main idea is it's taking that original Reflection Man DNA and simply fixing the performance, because at least from my experience over, you know, the years of me having my bottle of Reflection Man EDP, has never performed that good, you know, and so you're paying a good amount of money for it, and it's a white floral, you know, it's a relatively light scent, the EDP especially, both on paper and in terms of just, you know, smelling it. But I was always hoping and wishing for a little bit better performance out of that one. Just kind of wrote it off as probably never going to happen. But then they started putting out these exceptional extraits is what they call them. So like, again, this one is 45% oil concentration. They've got interlude 53% concentration. Crazy strong stuff here. All of them that I've tried are just outrageously strong. And interlude was already strong to begin with, but Reflection Man really could stand to improve from this DNA, and I'm glad that they did this, because this is everything that the original should have been, or it's everything that I wish the original was. Really strong, and it's also just a little bit stronger in terms of scent. You know, performance is what we always focus on, but the actual smell itself is a little bit more rich, a little bit more full-bodied, which ultimately makes it a bit easier to smell. And I bring this up because sometimes with certain types of fragrances, you go nose blind to them, right? You know, you spray it and pretty quickly you kind of tune it out. And that's super frustrating when you like how it smells and you can no longer smell it. Like, that's really infuriating. And sometimes that would also happen a little bit with Reflection Man EDP. It would just kind of go a little bit light. But this one here, it doesn't. It has more going on in the base to where it does stay perceivable for much longer for me. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some holy grail fragrances that I highly recommend you check out at some point because, again, you're gonna be hearing about a lot of these and you might as well have an understanding of what they smell like. Links will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.